All right, everyone, congratulations. You have made it to the 12th week, the final week of this Level Up program. I always tell you this, but I am just incredibly inspired and proud of how far each and every one of you has come up until this point, okay? You've all made incredible progress. You have implemented amazing new healthy lifestyle habits into your own lives, and you've made it your own, right? Because there's no one size fits all. You have taken the information and the tools that you've used, and you have implemented them into your own life for ongoing success. And that, my friends, is what this program was made for, okay? By this point, your confidence level in your ability to achieve the things that you sought out to achieve at the beginning of this program is soaring, right? You're just out here doing amazing things. I'm incredibly proud of you. And the success doesn't stop here, all right? Every single thing that you've learned in this program can be used for the rest of your life. All right. And that's really what I want you to remember while we're going through this recap. All right. So let's go ahead and get into it. Today, we're going to talk about the recap, the most important things that I feel like are needed for ongoing success. And we're also going to talk about next steps. So what happens after the end of this program? All right. So meal planning and fat loss nutrition, one of the biggest themes of this program, right? I'm going to give you a high level overview of, again, the most important things that I think that you will need to remember. So set aside 1 to 2 hours to meal prep once a week for the upcoming week. Most people find that Sundays are the most beneficial times to do this because it's a day of rest. It's the day before the work week begins. So, you're really preparing for success for that upcoming week by doing it on Sundays. But if it's more convenient to do it on Fridays or Saturdays, that's perfectly fine. Okay, perfectly fine. And I also want you to keep in mind that whenever you're meal prepping, you don't have to pressure yourself to meal prep every single meal, right? My best advice would be to meal prep the meal that is the hardest to eat healthily, right? So for a lot of us, that's dinner, especially if you have a family, if you have other people to cook for, other people to take care of. Dinner can be a challenge because you're trying to not only meet your needs, but you're trying to meet the needs of every other person in your household, whether it's your children, your spouse, whoever, okay? So if dinner is the most difficult meal for you to get your needs in, that is where you need to start, okay? And it's always about ongoing success. Some weeks you're going to have weeks that are a little bit more successful than the previous week, but all that we can do is our best and give ourselves grace, okay? So also make a grocery list and stick to it. I am guilty of this. I know many of us are going to the grocery store thinking that we can just keep in our memory bank all of the food that we'll need. And a lot of the times that's just not the case, especially if you go to the grocery store hungry, all right, which is another thing. Do not do that. That's a disaster. So don't go to the grocery store hungry, make a grocery list and stick to it so that you're better able to be consistent throughout the week, okay? Include your lean proteins, vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and low-fat dairy on that grocery list. Consider the 80-20 nutrition strategy for sustainability. This is my favorite nutrition strategy because, again, it's the most sustainable, right? We're not talking about fasting. We're not talking about, dieting throughout the entire week because it's not sustainable and it gets us cranky. A lot of the times it makes us, crave the things that we are, that we're depriving ourselves of. So 80% wholesome, nutritious foods, and then allow yourself 20%, one serving of your favorite food per day. And when I say one serving, that's exactly what I mean, okay? So if you love chips, I'm a chip lover for sure. I love fried snacks. I've always been this way. If you want to eat your chips, you measure your portions, okay? If you want a piece of pie, you need to have a moderately portioned piece of pie, okay? We're not talking about eating the entire pie or eating the entire bag of chips, right? Portion these out. If it's a bag of chips or if it's cookies, grab your portion, put the rest of the bag or the box, whatever, away, and sit down with that portion of your joyous food and enjoy it, okay? Savor it, right? All right. Follow the hand portioning method for proper portions. Now, this is something that we have talked about many times throughout this program because we don't count calories, we don't count macros, we don't obsess over those sorts of things, even whenever we have a goal of losing weight and getting fit, okay? If you follow the hand portioning method, you will be successful. But again, just like any other lifestyle habit, it needs to be consistent and you need to be conscious of it, okay? Refer back to the Fat Loss Nutrition Meal Planning Guide when needed, all right? Most of the information when it comes to fat loss nutrition will be in that guide. So please, please utilize that. Even after this program is ended, you will have that at your disposal. So better to use it than to just forget that it's there, right? And then always check food labels for things like added sugars. And when you're looking at added sugars on foods, because honestly, these added sugars sneak up in so many types of foods. You want to be looking for foods that have added sugars that are less than 5 to 7% of your daily value, okay? And if it's above that, you definitely want to minimize those types of foods that you're including in your nutrition plan. And then, as always, remember that lean protein is absolutely crucial for ongoing and sustainable weight loss and fitness. Throughout this program, I teach you 15 to 30 grams of protein per meal. If you have, the upper end limit of that, that's even more beneficial for you. But lean protein, as we've talked about, it's so beneficial. It's so great for your metabolism and really keeping you full and getting you the results that you want. So do not forget about that. All right. Now, the ideal exercise strategy for busy women like you to increase and sustain your metabolism. So basically everything at a very high level that we've learned in this program. First thing, progressive resistance training, right? We've been doing this 1 to 2 to 3 times per week over the past 12 weeks. So for best results, train all of your muscle groups at least once a week. This includes chest, abs, shoulders, arms, and legs. Progressively increase the intensity by increasing your weight and or your repetitions to sustain or increase lean muscle. And that's exactly what we've been doing throughout this entire program. And then also to maximize your time and also maximize your results, consider compound exercises like we've been doing and train upper and lower body muscles on separate days. Now, depending on your ongoing goals, there are different ways that you can spread out your workouts throughout the week, right? But this is just a very high level strategy, especially if you're a busy lady. And then, of course, high intensity interval training, otherwise known as HIIT, my absolute favorite. All you need is at least once a week for 20 to 30 minutes, and pretty much the same concept as progressive resistance training. You're going to want to make sure that your workouts are challenging, but only that they're challenging enough. Okay. If you're not careful, you can injure yourself during these sorts of exercises. So what I have here is do not push yourself to injury. You always want to keep yourself safe, practice safe form, and you'll be all good. And then just a little note that I put down here to prevent boredom with your regular routines, because we all like to mix it up, right? You can absolutely think outside of the box. So consider trying Zumba. You can also try bar. I'm a huge fan of bar. I've been lifting for years, but every time I go to a bar class, I'm like, oh my gosh, am I even in shape? These ladies are killing me. Bar is a great, great option. You can do Pilates, CrossFit, anything like that. Really just do your research if you're getting bored to figure out what you like, right? Figure out what you like, figure out what you want to try, and maybe you'll find something that you just absolutely can fall in love with. And anything that's challenging will yield your results. Just make sure that it's fun, right? Because we don't want to get bored. All right. So the third thing that is very important that we've learned throughout this program, and I try to teach and coach all of you through all of the time every week, is to cultivate a strengths-based, forward-thinking mindset, okay? We don't think backwards in this program or moving forward in this life, all right? Every mistake that you think you've made in the past, whether it has to do with your fitness goals, your weight loss goals, or anything else, really, this is an all-encompassing mindset for every single part of your life. You need to grow forward by recognizing and implementing your own personal strengths, okay? Us as humans, we're just naturally programmed to think negatively, right? We're always trying to protect ourselves. We're always, many times just fall into this negative mindset, especially when it comes to ourselves and thinking that maybe we can't do something, right? But you need to consistently recognize that you are a very strong woman. You have made it this far. Maybe you've had traumatic situations in your life. You've grown past them, right? Maybe you've had difficulty, getting that promotion. You've grown past that. Maybe, well, not maybe, but I would assume that most of you ladies have had trouble losing the weight and keeping it off. Well, guess what? You've grown past that, right? Think about a time in your life when you were like, how am I going to get through this difficult life situation or this difficult challenge or problem? Think about how you got through that, right? Use a very specific situation in your life to refer back to when you get to a point of thinking, maybe I just can't, maybe this just isn't for me. Maybe I can't move forward. You can. And I know that you can, all right? You just need to continue to remind yourself of that. So think ahead, well, that sentence is a little off. Think ahead of future barriers and challenges, right? Whenever we just go through life, kind of skating through, kind of, not really making a plan for how we're going to handle difficult situations, it's much more difficult to get through them. It's much more difficult to grow through them, right? So something very important that you can do is every week, think about what could be a potential challenge this week that could get in my way of my goals and my success, right? So you think about those barriers, you think about those challenges, and then you think about how will you plan around them for continued success. How have you overcome them in the past, which is going back to what I was just talking about, right? Maybe you can refer to a specific situation where you thought that you wouldn't be able to get through it, but you did, okay? So think about those situations and think about the strengths that you have used to overcome those situations, okay? Think in terms of what can I do versus what you can't. Remember that self-defeating thoughts are just stories that we tell ourselves. So it's never about what makes you weak. It is never about what you cannot do. You need to focus on things that you can do to progress, all right? Because every single one of you has talents. Every single one of you has strengths. And any negative thought that your mind tells yourself, they're just stories, okay? You can learn to, down here I say, stop your negative self-defeating thoughts in their tracks, okay? So as soon as you hear that thought in your mind, as soon as you think it, you can separate yourself from it, right? If you think, what's an example? If you think, oh, I can't continue on with this meal prep, it's just too hard. Or, oh, I can't lose the weight. I'm just going to give up because this is too hard. You need to separate yourself from that thought, grab the thought, visualize yourself physically grabbing this thought and separating it from yourself. So recognize the thought, okay? The thought isn't real. It might be quote unquote real because it's in your head, but you don't need to implement that thought into reality, because the more that you recognize your negative thoughts and then reframe your negative thoughts, the more that it will become a habit. It's going to be a long time before, you stop having negative thoughts about yourselves, maybe. Some people might catch on to this very quickly. Some people might have a difficult time making this a habit. However, you just need to keep practicing it and you will always become better. That's what this is always about. I have negative thoughts. Sometimes I'm not good at, taking my negative thoughts and separating myself from them. We all fall into those mental blocks, right? We all fall into negativity sometimes, but it is absolutely possible and it's our responsibility to reframe those thoughts whenever we think them, because your thoughts are not always right, my friends. So, what are next steps for continued support and progress for ongoing coaching? What is going to change? Okay. One-on-one coaching every other week. You do have continued access to group coaching. So every single group coaching that we have during the week, you will still be able to attend those. Okay. Access to previous workouts and any other workouts that I create for as long as you decide to have ongoing coaching. Continued one-on-one nutrition coaching as needed. So essentially what we've been doing up until this point. Weekly personalized workouts created using Trainerize workout library. So I will not be recording your workouts personally, but I will still create them for you. So Trainerize has an elaborate workout library that I can organize different exercises to fit your goals, fit your needs, and that is what the ongoing fitness training will look like, okay? And then also continued access to personal messaging via Facebook, Trainerize, and email. So that is not going to change. So let me know what thoughts you have about your ongoing goals. If you want to continue coaching together, if you want to continue having this support through your goals, I am more than honored to continue to be your coach. So let's have a conversation about that. All right, my friends, for your homework, I want you to write a love letter to yourself. That's what I want you to do. And it's going to be wonderful. Okay. Because I know that these weeks can pass and you might just forget about all of the awesome things that you've accomplished. I don't want you to forget them. I want you to write them down and I want you to speak love about yourself. All right. I know that it might seem a little bit uncomfortable. Maybe you think it's a little bit silly, but I want you to do this and understand how powerful talking self-love to yourself can really be for ongoing success. So here's some just some examples of, journal prompts for you. What accomplishments have you made, big or small? Just list them out. Make it like a brainstorming session, right? Just talk yourself up, that's what this is for. What have you learned about yourself? How have you grown? I know that there are tons and tons of ways that you have grown in this program. I could give you so many of them if you and I talked, but I want you to do this for yourself. In what areas do you need to show yourself more self-love and compassion? And how can you use tools you've learned in this program to move forward with progress? So these are just some examples. Of course, as you're writing, I know when I write, I might have some journal prompts, but then I kind of like go off on my own little tangent, which is completely fine. In fact, it's more than fine because it's me fully thinking for myself. All right. And so, yeah, I just wanted to give you some little example prompts because I know some of you might not think that you're good writers. You might have trouble taking your thoughts to paper or your computer or whatever. But again, you can come up with your own prompts too. So finally, please just sit back, reflect, and congratulate yourself for all that you've overcome and accomplished over these past 12 weeks. And your success is ongoing. Your success does not stop here. I'm just, again, so incredibly proud of you. And working with all of you lights up my life, truly. So I'm honored to have been your coach. And I hope that soon we can talk about ongoing coaching so that we can continue to see you thrive and grow.